Probably got a reason to really be upset and so forth. So let's see how well y'all can do. Now here we go on three. Now 1, 2, 3. Man, y'all need some work. Y'all need some work. Y'all need some work. I've heard a lot worse. Okay, so now why would somebody stand up in front of a distinguished group like what we have here tonight, and the first thing to do is ask them to boo? Because, you know, that's not what most of us are really interested in. Most of us don't go around telling people to give us a hard time. And to boo, we don't do that. You know, we don't want that. So why would I do that? Well, to me, I think one of the biggest challenges that we face today is dealing with all the negative stuff that we're constantly hit over the head with. Unfortunately, the media, they want to focus on the negative. Always. You know, it's always the negative stuff. They want to focus on it. They talk about the negative. And, you know, you open up the newspaper, you turn on the television, listen to the radio, it's all negative. And, you know, we all know there are unbelievably positive things that are going on in our communities every day. You know, things that people are involved in, people that are helping. And so there are positive things, but the media they don't like to talk about that. They like to talk about the negative stuff, which is exactly what I deal with on Sundays. I mean, I can pretty much guarantee, maybe before the game even starts, somebody's questioned my integrity, my upbringing, whether I have parents, and whether my parents have 2 or 4 legs. So I can pretty much guarantee that that's kind of what's going to happen to me. So my challenge on Sunday afternoons is, how do I turn boos into cheers? And I think that's exactly what we all have to do. Is, you know, how do we get past all this negative stuff and get on with the tremendous things that we know are going on in our communities that we have the opportunity to do? And that's kind of what I want to do, is just talk about how I do that on Sundays. And maybe it'll help y'all when negative things happen to you. And the main thing is that we all have to remember is that we're all important. Because we're all important. Then we can all make a difference. You know, we can all make a difference. One person can make a difference in somebody's life. We're all important. And we can make a difference. And sometimes when negative stuff starts, we forget the fact that we can make a difference. And that we're important. Because unfortunately, as you know, and I don't have to explain to this group, negative things are going to happen. People are going to be negative. People are going to give us a hard time. I mean, based on what I do on Sundays, you know, there are so many people that know how to do my job better than I do.
I like that.
Yeah. And some of your responsibilities out here, you probably have a lot of people know how to do your job better than you do. Probably not as many as me, but, you know, there are always people that know how to do your job better. We have to remember that we're important and we can make a difference when this stuff starts. You know, one of the questions that I always get is, where do you like to work? You know, what stadium do you like to work in? My answer always is, give me someplace warm. Warm, because I mean, there's some cold places in the NFL. Just try going to Green Bay in December. I mean, you know, it's not pleasant. Not pleasant. So I like someplace warm. So one of my favorite places to go is New Orleans. Now, I probably wouldn't want to go there next season. Based on what happened in that playoff game, I probably wouldn't want to go there, but I like going to New Orleans. And so I had a game in New Orleans, and it was a pretty easy game for us. We didn't have anything happen in the game. And the Saints won the game very handily. And from an officiating standpoint, we had nothing to do with the outcome of the game, as normal. Why does everybody laugh when I say that? That's normal. Anyway, so the game is over. Saints won the game. We had nothing to do with the outcome of the game. And as you would guess, when the game is over, we immediately get dressed and hightail it to the airport to get out of town. And that's what we did. Now, back when I got in the NFL back in 1989, 30 years ago, we didn't have the internet. Al Gore hadn't invented the internet yet. and so we didn't have the internet. We didn't have email. We didn't have any of that. And so during the time I was in the league, all this stuff came about. And so when they had email, the only way you could get your email was if you had a big computer at your office. And so on Mondays when I would get to my office, I could read emails. Well, now, as you know how fortunate we all are, we have these little gizmos where your emails, they follow you around. And your texts and whatever other social media things you like. The NFL does allow us to be on social media, which is probably a good thing. But anyway, so riding from the Superdome to the New Orleans airport, I got an email. Came across on my phone. And I looked at it, and it came from Ray St. Pierre. Ray St. Pierre. Now, where do you think Ray is from?
New Orleans.
I mean, with a name like that, I was convinced that he's from Louisiana, probably from New Orleans, somewhere like that. So I'm thinking, okay, the Saints won the game. We had nothing to do with the outcome of the game. So Ray's going to have something nice to say about the job we did in that game. Well, let me share it with you what Ray had to say. Walt Coleman, you suck as a referee. I hope you're a better dairyman. Oh yeah, you'd have to be or you'd be out of business. Please retire from the NFL before you ruin its credibility. See, this is what I'm talking about. There's always going to be somebody out there that wants to give you a hard time. We have to remember the report. We were talking about it up here as far as officiating. How do you start? Well, you start at the bottom, like you do with anything. You start at the bottom. And so I started working junior high football games. And one of my very first junior high football games, Mountain Pine at Mount Ida. Mountain Pine and Mount Ida. And as y'all know, those are two major metropolitan areas in the state. Right? But I'm telling you, it was junior high football, which, as y'all know, is a matter of life and death. Right? I mean, you've had anybody play junior high football or on the field? It's a matter of life and death. So I've got this junior high football game, Mountain Pine and Mount Ida. I'm on Mountain Pine sideline. They are playing terrible. And it's my fault. It's my fault. I mean, I just started fishing. I didn't even know what I was doing, and much less how I could be causing the team to lose. But they were hollering and screaming at me and telling me it's my fault, and I wasn't having any fun. I just wanted this junior high game to get over. You probably had days like that too, hadn't you? Day please end, Well, that's how I was with this junior high football game. So mercifully for me, finally this junior high game ended, and the Mountain Pine coaches were still hollering at me, and it was still my fault that they lost the game. So now, what do officials do when the game is over?
Get out.
Get out. You're up. Yeah. We run off the field. We do not stand around and shake hands. That's one thing my dad taught me. My dad was a high school college official. He said, Walt, when the game is over, you immediately run off the field. He also told me, be sure and back your car in. I found that was even more important than the running off the field. So anyway, so I'm doing what he's told. I'm running off the field as fast as I can, and this junior high coach is chasing me. He is chasing me off the field. He catches me. But all he does is just stuffs a piece of paper in my pants pocket. And he turns and leaves. I keep running. I get in the locker room at Mount Ida, huge facility, if you can imagine, huge facility. Anyway, so I get in there, and so the veteran guys that I'm working with are giving me a hard time. Oh, Walt, what in the world did the coach want? What's going on? I said, well, they said it was my fault they lost the game. But he didn't bring a piece of paper and stuffed it in my pocket. And they said, well, let's get that piece of paper and let's see what it says. Maybe it's your critique. I'm thinking, oh, that can't be good. So I reached in my pocket and I pulled out this piece of paper, and all the coach had written on this piece of paper was 2 Bible verses. Matthew 27:5 and Luke 10:37. That's all that was there. Matthew 27:5, Luke 10:37. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I am a Methodist. And I thought that gave me an excuse not to know my Bible verses as well as my Catholic and Baptist buddies. Well, I checked with them, and they had no idea what the coach was trying to tell me. And I sure as heck didn't know, you know. So until I got home and I could pull out my little Bible, was I able to. So let me share with you what the junior high coach thought of the job I did in that big game. Matthew 27:5 says, so Judas threw the money in the temple and left, and then he went away and hanged himself. Yeah, he went away and hanged himself. Luke 10:37 says, Jesus told him, go and do thou likewise. See, go hang yourself. See, this is what I'm talking about. There's always going to be people out there. There's always going to be people out there that are going to give us a hard time. You know, and I think the interesting thing is that we have to remember that we're important. You know, as you can guess, after spending 30 years officiating the National Football League, 10 years officiating college, I mean, I've spent the last 40 years, most of my falls dealing with football. And I do love football. I do love football. And I love football for one main reason. When you look at all the other team sports that we play in this country, whether you're talking about baseball or basketball or volleyball or soccer or softball or whatever, you think about it, all those team sports, everybody gets to play with the ball. Everybody gets to touch the ball in those sports, right? Now think about it. Baseball, basketball, soccer, volleyball. Everybody gets to play with the ball. Everybody gets to touch the ball. Now, in football, does everybody get to play with the ball?
No.
No. Does everybody get to touch the ball?
No.
No. There are these poor souls. There are these poor souls on every football team who never get to touch the ball. They never get to play with the ball. But they're invisible. Nobody knows who they are. And the only time they get their number called is when. Yeah! They get a penalty. If somebody like me stands out in front of the crowd and says, holding number 62 of the offense, then old number 62 gets recognized. Don't you know he's excited? I mean, you think about how excited old number 62 is. He's been at every practice. He's been at every meeting. He has worked his tail off to be the best offensive lineman he can be. And the only time they call his number is when he screws up. Isn't that just wonderful? But let me ask you this. How successful is any football team going to be if old number 62 doesn't understand how important he is? Well, y'all know the answer to that. They're not going to be successful, are they? I mean, I've been so fortunate in my 30 years in the National Football League because I've had the opportunity to be on the field with Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders and Troy Aikman and Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning. I mean, unbelievable people. You know, I can honestly tell you that I have checked Tom Brady's balls. His footballs always have plenty of air in them. But see, all those names I just rattled off, every one of them, none of them are very good laying on the backside, are they? See, it takes those guys up front in order for a football team to be successful. See, it's all about the team. To me, football is the ultimate team sport. Team, together, everyone accomplishes more. You know, that's what it takes. That's what it takes in a community. That's what what's so great about the chamber. I mean, that's what the chamber does. The chamber creates this huge team of people, all working for the same thing. All working for the same goals. Now, I'm not trying to embarrass anyone in here, but you don't realize this, but what we have here in this room is a whole room full of offensive linemen. A whole room full of offensive linemen. Hard-working, dedicated people who all are trying to do is do what's best for your community, for your family, for your state. And my guess is the only time you get recognized is when you screw up. You know? So we have to remember that we're important. We're important. We can make a difference. And the other thing, don't forget how to laugh. Don't forget how to laugh. That coach, told me to go hang myself. Now, that's not very nice, but y'all thought it was funny. Y'all all laugh. But see, they didn't send that to you. See, that's the difference. Send all that stuff to Walt, but don't send it to me. So we can't forget how to laugh. So, if anything, you get anything out of tonight, I understand how difficult it is to deal with negative stuff. But we have to remember that what we're doing is important and that you can make a difference in this community, in the state, and our country. Because, unfortunately, this country we live in was built by people who are willing to get involved, who are willing to stand up for what they believe in, and have the guts and the test of fortitude to do what's right. And unfortunately for all of us in this room, nothing's changed. We still have to have those same people. We have to have people who are willing to stand up for what they believe in, who have the guts and intestinal fortitude to do what's right. And obviously being a part of the chamber is an opportunity for everybody to do that. Now, so to me, it's all about being out there. It's all about being involved. Now, when I was here the last time, I read this same little deal. It hasn't changed. It's about being involved. Because the only way you're going to get criticized, the only way you're going to make mistakes, the only way somebody's going to be negative is if you're out there and you're involved and you're trying to do something. So that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about having the guts and the intestinal fortitude to be out there and be involved. So I'd like to read this in closing. It's something Teddy Roosevelt said in a speech that he gave in Paris. It says, "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how a strong man stumbles or whether the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But it is actually strives to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat." It's about being out there. It's about being in the arena. It's about understanding that things are not always going to go the way you like them to. But it takes people who are willing to be out there for anything to be successful. So I hope at the end of the day, you'll remember that you're just a big old offensive lineman, number 62. You're invisible, but goodness gracious, you're important to this community and to this state. Thank you very much.